Right, everyone, Josh Beatar from the stands, and today we're very luckily joined once again by my UFC flyweight Shannon Ross. Shannon, always a pleasure, mate. Look, first things first. Aside from fighting, we'll get to all that and more in a second. How's life been since we last spoke? I saw there was house renovations going on. How's life been? I saw you spent some time with the family as well. How's life been aside from fighting?
Yeah, life's always good. It's always good to sort of detach a little bit from the fights and the training schedule and the crazy busy regime of that, and get back in touch with the fam and the kids and just soak up that quality time. And yeah, it's been real good. Obviously, yeah, have a few things going on, some renovations, and my second oldest daughter, she just had spine surgery, so dealing with that and getting her on the road to recovery, and yeah, working and training, and it's all happening. But it's bit of my story has been succeeding in chaos, and I feel that's where I thrive. So we're back in it, and it's pretty chaotic at the moment. But yeah, it's all happening, and it's good.
Speaking on training, obviously down here at CMBT, getting ready for your training session tonight. What's training consisting of at the moment? I know there's nothing lined up in terms fight-wise, but what's training consisting of at the moment?
Yeah, look, I out of camp, no fights prepped, I no nothing booked. I still try to train every day. I'm not one of these guys that gets a fight and then I'll start training now, and I'll start trying to get my weight off, and I'll start trying to get fit. I'm in the gym pretty consistently, even if I don't have a fight. Only time I'm out of the gym on a daily basis is if the family needs me and there's something happening in that area, or I'm here, I'm working and I'm here training and I'm trying to upskill and get better, get smarter, and yeah, once we get a fight booked, and it's pretty close, it's looking pretty close to get another one booked, and yeah, we'll be back in a couple of times a day, and might have to get off the tools again, and yeah, get back into focusing on the fight.
Um, Obviously, UFC 293 was a pretty big event in Sydney a few weeks ago. I know you were down there for the weekend and went to the fights as well. How was it being at the fights? Obviously, a pretty monumental card, and up being a pretty big upset. And what was it like being in the crowd as a fan? Again, I'm sure probably been a little while since you've been, or maybe the first time since you've been at a UFC event as a fan. What was that like being there?
Yeah, it was phenomenal, right? It was super last minute for me. Luckily enough, I had one of my sponsors, Simon from Mindspec. He needed me to go down for an event on Saturday night, and it just happened to be that the UFC's on Sunday morning. So I thought, shit, I need to get there. This is my sport and what I love watching, and this is sort of my soul life is dedicated to this. So I hit my manager up. I'm like, Danny, I need a couple of tickets. I'm like, I'm not usually the guy that does this last minute thing, but see what you can do. And he said, yeah, I'll get you some tickets. So yeah, we went there Sunday morning. I thought for sure these tickets I'll be in the bleachers somewhere, right? And I'm all good with that. Like, I've been there as a fan, and that's where I've sat before. And like, so we go in. The usher goes, "Oh, you're up the front row. We'll take you down." I'm like, "What?" So sitting there with like Dan Hooker and Kai and Gilbert Burns, Gilbert Burns, man, like the who's who, right? Sitting behind Israel's family and Sean Strickland's girlfriend's just over to the left, and I'm like, sort of pinching myself. And then I'm thinking, like, it took me a day or two to realize, like, hey, you only get this after 15 years of hard work. You can't buy this experience. You can't just buy this ticket with these guys in this position, 2 rows back from the cage. So, like, what being at 293 did for me was just sort of really bring home that 15 years of hard work that I've done. Is like, man, this is what it's been all for, to get these positions and be able to fight on these big cards like the one in Vegas. Yeah, it didn't go my way, and pretty unhappy with it. But who else can sit second row or right behind Israel's family? And so yeah, pretty crazy card, and pretty insane fans. Like, Australia, just the fans bring it every time, and it's awesome to be there. And man, the Australian fighters did great. It's awesome to see us thriving.
Well, look, touching on your last fight, obviously wasn't the result you were after. That's clear, and unfortunate those things sort of happen. I suppose in the sport, it's the game you play. Leading into that fight, camp-wise, preparation-wise, was everything squared off and happy with? Were you happy with everything, with how it went, or were there some obstructions that maybe caused things to happen? Or was it a really good camp?
Funnily enough, it was a really good camp. Like, I was super lucky enough to bring my wife over to Vegas, and me and her got to sort of enjoy a couple days before the fight. Obviously, it's still fight week, and I'm cutting weight and doing my obligations and all that stuff. But we got to sort of hang out, just me and her, which is a massive rarity because we have 4 kids. So anytime just us two is very nice. I literally said to my wife, like after the weigh-ins, rehydrated, and I said, this camp just went too easy. Like everything went to plan. Like the camp went great. The nutrition went awesome. Like my weight cut was fucking on point. Like I was like, this is obsolete. Like it's obsolete, right? If people know my history, they know nearly every fight there's some bullshit that happens that fucking the world's trying to upset me, right? And I said to her, I said, this is pretty weird. There's like nothing happening. Funnily enough, the hardship I have to deal with is probably the worst one in my fight career. First time I've ever been knocked out. So it just comes back around like, how do you deal with these things in life? How do you deal with these hardships? Do you get back up? Do you get back on the horse and do you ride into battle again? Or are you like a lot of people and you go, I don't want to deal with that shit again. And you see you later and I'm done and I'm hiding. And that's just not me. I've been through all this hardship plenty of times before, and that's just another thing. Obviously, yeah, we would have loved the fight to go a little bit different and play out in our hands, but that's just the fight game sometimes. Yeah, like in all honesty, the dude's closing his eyes and looking at the ground and throwing one over the top, and if it hits, it hits, right? It's like you hitting a pinata and you got a blindfold on. Sometimes it takes you 9 swings and you miss it, but that 10th swing, you bang it and it explodes and the lollies go everywhere. Sort of how I'm looking at it. Camp was perfect. My weight cut was great. Just one of those things. The first minute of the fight is it's always that crazy minute, right? So maybe the learning curve from that is like not getting that firefight so early and go like I was reading everything and I was seeing stuff great. So I was trying to bite down on my first counter strikes to put him away so I could get to that Sydney card. With that happening and you are 1 inch too short, 1 inch too far, and you're on the wrong side of what can be a bad loss. So.
I asked Tai Tuivasa at the media day 2 weeks ago about why he hadn't competed this year, and he said after his loss to Pavlovich, he wanted to take some time off to let his body heal and let his brain heal and let his head heal, I suppose. After that loss, was there any thought of, okay, I'm going to take some considerable amount of time off? Or I know you alluded to it at the start of this chat that there was something in the works. Is that something you had thought about, or was it sort of just to get back on the horse straight away?
Yeah, definitely. Like first and foremost, health comes first, right? The first knockout in my career, like obviously I want to take care of myself, take care of my brain, my health, get all that sort of back into a normal and a proper functioning thing. Obviously, nowadays a lot more fighters are a lot smarter, right? They don't play around. If back in the day, you get knocked out, you're back at training on Monday, Tuesday, and you're sparring again. Like I did take some time off after the fight, just let the head relax and let that sort of come good. Sort of slowly ease back into training, and I didn't have any headaches. I didn't have any sort of concussion symptoms post-fight, that day, the week, like straight after it, I felt pretty good. I could remember everything. So like, I wasn't too stressed on how I like recovered. Obviously, I still took a couple of weeks to let the brain relax and obviously I still haven't sparred yet. I'm still trying to like ease my way back into that, but I'm grappling and wrestling and doing my weights and my cardio and being in the gym and being cerebral and trying to learn and grow. Not having to bash my brains in and to get better, right? So yeah, definitely taking that bit of time and for my health and my brain, and yeah, like Ty said, like you got to do that if you want longevity in this sport. It's a big thing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, Shannon, last one from me. I know you got training coming up, so I'm not going to take a lot of your time. Well, I've got to ask. It's only fair, the fight you said was something in the works, and I'm not going to ask you to give that away because I understand that, but. Is there a timeline, a month that you're looking at the moment and sort of targeting end of this year, start of next year? I know the UFC's planning to come back to Australia, first quarter of next year. Yep. What's sort of on the horizon for you in terms of a timeline?
Yeah, so I obviously got offered a fight being in the position I'm in, like 2 losses, man, I really want to rectify that and get back in the winners column and try to right the wrongs that I had. So yeah, like I should be on before the end of the year. Um, Obviously, UFC coming back to Australia early next year, I would love to possibly wait till then. But if it's the right fight and it's the right scenario, and yeah, I've got to take what I can get and get back in the winners column, and then depends where we're at next year. I should be ready to return for Sydney if that's where they come back to. So it would be good to get like two wins back in and finish my contract on 2 good wins and renegotiating, get a new contract, and obviously that's the goal and that's the long run. And yeah, obviously have a long career in the UFC, not just get there and have a few fights and leave, but get there and win and perform and sort of get into that top 10 and yeah, keep growing. So hopefully before the end of the year.
Shane, it's always a pleasure, mate.
Awesome, brother.
Very much thank you. Thank you very much, bro.
Thanks for
Appreciate
your
it.
time, man.